Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you today at Think Leads. I'm Doug Horn, and I am a member of our ad sales engineering team here at Google. My team and I work with marketers like you every day, helping them figure out how to use AI to solve real-life business challenges. And one of the questions I get asked all the time from our customers is, do I need an AI strategy? And I tell them, you don't need an AI strategy. You need AI to amplify your existing business and marketing strategy. You've just heard this from Gaurav. Your data is your competitive advantage. Combine AI with your first-party data, and you can help solve long-standing business challenges with incredible speed and accuracy. This allows you to collapse the timeline from information to action, ultimately creating strategic distance from your competitors. So, how do we actually unlock this whole new level of insights? As Gaurav just told us, the journey begins with the AI Essentials, a collection of all of our best AI solutions that you can put to work for your business. But an additional opportunity lies in how you can easily build custom solutions that work in concert with these tools. So today, I want to show you a clear, actual path to leveraging AI to help you improve your lead generation efforts, from immediate wins to more advanced transformative solutions. We'll focus on how to use AI to uncover deeper audience insights, drive profitable growth, and automate your lead nurturing. Let's take a look at a practical application in the context of audience insights. Historically, developing a deep understanding of your audience meant waiting. You'd spend weeks on market research, focus group, and surveys just to produce a static persona document that would be outdated the moment it was exported to a PDF. And the irony is, today we're no longer waiting for data. Every person in this room has access to the raw, unstructured conversations that hold the key to who your customers really are. It's in the sales call transcripts, in the chat logs, and in the open-ended survey responses. The challenge is that this data is disparate, messy, and nearly impossible to synthesize at scale. That all changes now. With Gemini, we can create a conversational AI-powered persona that combines the vast Google Knowledge Graph with your own first-party data. And you can rest assured your data is handled with enterprise-grade protection, meaning your content is not used to train our AI models, reviewed by humans, or shared with other customers. But let's see how it works in practice. So I have a document here including all of my existing research on a key buyer persona. This first-party data is telling me that the ideal buyer for my tech B2B software and services is the quintessential millennial. Our research has shown that these key buying decisions now largely rest with individuals in their 30s or early 40s. It's a good starting point, but may not be specific enough to drive high-efficiency campaigns. So I can upload this data into Gemini, and in my prompt, I can ask Gemini Deep Research to assume the persona of this buyer and to fill in the gaps with additional research on consumer habits and behavior. Once Gemini has completed its research, I can start to ask it questions. So to start, I've asked the persona to give me information about how they may conduct research and how it influences their decision-making process. And the results are pretty incredible. By leveraging AI to expand on our own data, we discovered some surprising and highly actionable insights and details we might have missed. For example, with this buyer, 70 to 90% of the research is self-directed and complete before they even engage with a vendor, making social proof and reviews the core of their decision-making process. We also learn that they are perfectly comfortable spending large sums of money, from $50,000 up to $1 million, through an e-commerce portal as long as the experience is smooth and engaging. And then our analysis ends with some core tenets of the millennial consumer mindset, including that they value things like social consciousness and the values and ethics of a company before making a purchase. So what happened here? We've moved from the traditional generic millennial buyer persona to painting a human portrait of our most valuable customer. We'll call them the know-it-all buyer. They know nearly everything before they even engage with the company, and that changes how we need to market to them. Now let's take it a step further and get a reaction from this persona. We can actually ask this persona to give us feedback on our marketing campaigns and even our ad creative. For example, I uploaded a mock creative asset for our product and asked the persona for its reaction. The ad focuses on client success and points to a case study on reducing time by 40%. When I upload the creative, Gemini analyzes the content of the creative and applies what it's learned from our document and its additional research to craft a response in the voice of the buyer. So we'll see below, the feedback is pretty impressive. It likes our focus on the user experience and the intuitive UX and UI. It also likes our focus on risk alleviation, which is one of their core decision-making pillars. And finally, it mentions that it likes our call to action, including that we include a case study, which is part of that social proof that they look for when making decisions. But the persona also provides us with one crucial piece of feedback, which is the landing page must deliver and the case study must be easily accessible with no forms or mandatory calls to a rep. And I can confirm as a millennial, the last thing I want to do is hop on the phone with somebody I do not know. This feedback helps us optimize our creative and site experience for an audience that values frictionless experiences and self-service. By using Gemini, we're not just creating buyer personas. We're creating a new way to understand and interact with our customers. We can ask them questions as if they're sitting right next to us, gaining deeper insight that ultimately leads to more effective ad campaigns. Awesome. Now that we have a better understanding of our customers' current behavior, the next step is to predict their future behavior. And we all know the old adage, not every customer is created equal. 20% of customers drive 80% of the value. How many times have we all heard this, right? The challenge has always been knowing which customers are the valuable ones. But what if you could predict a customer's value on day one? While we don't have a crystal ball, we're getting really close. So let's play a quick game. Imagine we're the marketing team for a financial services company. We have 3 leads, and they've all just taken a first action. Based on these initial actions, which one do you think is our most valuable? All right. Well, let's see. Is it the person who just signed up for our credit builder prepaid card offer, the one who submitted a standard credit card application, or the one who submitted a major product application, like a large loan? It's not as simple as it seems, as we're about to see. So if we look into their future value, we find that the highest value came from the person who started with a simple credit builder card. This is a low barrier, low cost action. It may not seem like much at first, but after they built their credit and trust with our brand, they became a loyal and high spending consumer. Without any additional context, we can't judge the quality of a lead by their first interaction alone. Our goal as a marketing team is to not just generate leads, but to attract the right leads with the potential for long-term value. We don't want to wait years to know this. We will miss countless acquisition opportunities and run the risk of spending our money inefficiently. We alone cannot make this prediction, but with the help of AI, we can predict a customer's lifetime value from the very first interaction, whether it's the first time they see an ad, their first website visit, or their first purchase. And by bidding to a predictive LTV, our pilot advertisers unlocked a new growth trajectory with an average 88% increase in return on ad spend. I'm a firm believer that a good predictive value today is better than a perfect deterministic value tomorrow, right? Yeah. There we go. All right, okay. So we'll jump back into a demo, and to get a personalized campaign centered on predictive values, I'm going to show you just a few things. 1, the data that is the basis of the model. 2, how we can use that model to find our best customers and what we can learn from the model insights. How we can then use predictive LTV and our first-party data to create audience segments to target, and then how we can use generative AI to create the images we need to personalize display, social, or even email content. To build the predictive model, and I'm sorry, it's a lot of stuff on the screen, but we do need CRM data, right? And so this shows you the signals that help you determine how valuable a new or existing credit card customer might be, including whether or not they currently have a credit card, if they use any of our loan or financial services, all the way through to whether if they have a good or bad credit score. So this is a lot of good information on the past and even right now, but we need to know what their LTV value will be in the future. So if I just start training the model, the AI will run in the background and start generating these predictions. And if we review the model, we can not only get information about each individual customer's future LTV, but we can also start to segment our entire database based on predictive LTV. The model has split our customers into 4 segments based on their future value to the business. And we can see that 29% of our customers fall into that top, or what we'll call our loyal growth tier. These are our customers that will drive 80% of the value and should be our focus for our upcoming campaign. But in the process of building our model, we also learn about what makes someone more likely to be a high-value customer. So some things might be more intuitive, like their credit story, but other things might be new insights that change the way you buy or target. For example, how the customer arrives at the site, or their traffic source, or where they are located, can make someone more likely to be of high value. So with that, we're now ready to create some customer segments for targeting. We know we want to target our highest value customers, and we can layer on additional first-party data over each group that has been segmented so we can speak directly to what they may be interested in. So for example, we know our loyal growth clients spend a lot of money on travel and lifestyle-related expenses based on their purchase history. And so with that, I can just select Prepare Customer List. These customer lists are generated, and with one click, I can send them directly to the ad buying platform to be ready to be applied to my campaigns. And for our very last step, and maybe the most important in driving ROI, we can use the generative power of Gemini to create any new images or copy that we may need for the campaign. So let's say we want to create a luxury, high-end image with copy that uses a sophisticated brand voice for our high-end, travel-loving customers. With just a few clicks, I can quickly select my desired segment and create a personalized display creative along with copy for my next campaign. All of the prompts that generate these images and search copy can be customized by you to be authentic to your brand and to scale across markets in whatever language you need. And we can also even directly integrate with ads products to ship these creatives off to our buying platforms for immediate activation once they're generated. So even though this seems like we're just kind of geeking out on AI and what it can do here, the business results from companies who bid to predictive values have been very meaningful. They were so meaningful that they've been cited by a CFO on an earnings call, and it's not a bad outcome that the CFO awarded their CMO millions in extra bucks in media bucks in return, right? So let's talk about how you can do this. What you've just seen here is just an example of how we can predict future behavior through the solution. We call it crystal value, and I'll give everyone a second to snap the QR code. But to get started, speak with your Google sales team, or if you're ready to dive in, you can access the open source code on GitHub by scanning this QR code. Awesome. So you've just seen how we can use Gemini to understand our customers and predictive models to determine their future value. But what if these capabilities didn't require manual effort? What if they could work for you autonomously and in real time? This is the new frontier of lead generation. Agents. We are moving beyond individual prompts and predictive models to building intelligent, autonomous systems. These aren't a distant fantasy. Some companies are already tying these solutions together with AI agents to create a complete, cognitive, lead nurturing engine that takes action, not just provide insights. Just imagine. A persona agent can run continuously, analyzing customer data and sending daily insights on new personas. From there, a predictive LTV agent can instantly update audience values for bidding, while a Gen AI agent creates new text and image assets based on those insights, essentially automating from end to end the capabilities I just showed you in the demos. The opportunity to collapse the timeline from information to action isn't just a goal. It's a path you can begin today to start creating meaningful strategic distance between you and your competitors. What you've seen today are the building blocks of this future. But as we know, this shift isn't just about the technology, it's about the people. And our next panelist will cover exactly that. But first, let's see what happens when you scale your creative with AI. Thank you, everyone.
I'm scandalous, full flavor. Yes, I'm a major force of nature. Unpredictable, I'm danger. You're gonna love me. Ooh, child. Yeah, I'm coming in hot. Yeah. You're gonna love me. I'm coming in hot. You're gonna love me. Yeah, I'm coming in hot. Yeah. You're gonna love me. Yeah, I'm coming in hot.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Michael Kaplan. I head up agency relationships at Google, and I hope you enjoyed the fantastic look we just had into the future of marketing. And as Doug just said, we all know this, technical feasibility is rarely the main issue. It's almost always about change management and the people that need to lead and make it happen. So we're going to shift gears a little bit. We have an amazing panel to dive deeper into that topic, and I'm going to do a quick intro of each of you real fast. So we have Evan Hanlon, who's the chief architect at WPP Media. We have Kelsey Robinson, who's a senior partner at McKinsey. And we have Brian Weiser, principal at Madison & Wall. So who's ready to dive in? Let's go. All right. So in this evolving landscape, not a day goes by where I'm not wondering what I need to do to keep the business moving forward. How can you keep adding value, raising the bar? I'm sure many of you feel the same way in the audience. So I would like to ask, starting with you, Evan, how do you keep providing value, upping your game in this evolving world and your evolving role?
So I think the big thing that we are constantly faced with, and a question that we're confronted with, is our agencies going away? Are the role and the responsibility that we have to our clients disappearing? And the answer is really no. And the reason it's no is because as new capabilities emerge, new challenges, problems, points of friction, divergences within that ecosystem start to emerge as well. And our job is to really do two big things. One is to make sure that we are hands-on with what those capabilities ultimately look like and how they ultimately work, and think about how they ladder up to solving our clients' large business problems. I spend a lot of time thinking about how things work, but at the end of the day, most of the time what our clients are most concerned with is what is the outcome, what are the results for me? And so what our role really in there is to make sure that we are abstracting away some of those challenges and making sure that those things, when you click the button, do just work. And I think that that's a really important role and one that's changing very much as technology, particularly around AI, starts to morph as well.
I love that. Well said. Kelsey, would love to hear your thoughts on this one. How are you staying relevant in the
So, I mean, we spend our time trying to help leaders and companies navigate challenges and change, and so we're in that moment for sure. And I think right now, for us as advisors, there's a big gap between the idea and the aspiration with AI, but then the actual impact. And so we're spending, myself, my teams, like day to day, every client, really helping them translate what's my aspiration, but Then how do I get really focused on a few areas within marketing, within the end-to-end flow where I can really make a big change? And how do we get really concrete and set a goal for the next 3 months, next quarter? Because I think there's a real gap between the discussion, but then the actual kind of output that an organization sees at the end of the day right now.
I love that perspective. I mean, you got to know your numbers and you got to really be on top of your metrics. That's what I'm taking away from that take point. Brian, how are you thinking about this?
I focus on following the money. It's actually a really helpful organizing principle in terms of trying to stay relevant, trying to be on top of things, trying to know what's what. Understanding why choices are made in numeric terms, which usually connects one way or another back to money. And the more you can connect it in relative size things, whatever the thing is that you're looking at, how big is this thing relative to that thing? How many resources were plowed into it? That's not to say good or bad. If it's more or less, could be spending less money is a good thing. But understanding where the money is coming from, where it's going to, and why, kind of is a good organizing principle for me.
I love that. I would also add the need to understand if how money gets allocated needs to change because of things like AI. The organizations need to work differently. So that's a fantastic point. I love it. So given that, leading through change is a major theme for today, I would love to understand, get a little provocative here, what is your thoughts on an ideal client? What makes a great partnership great? Who wants to?
Really putting people in the hot seat on that. So I think that we've had these kinds of archetypes of what the best client and by extension the best brand have looked like through various eras of marketing and advertising. And I think to me the most important piece right now is a comfort in experimentation and in moving beyond theory and practice and into actually just getting things into market. Because I think the most important place that we're in right now is really around not just experimentation, but iteration and moving beyond this idea that past performance is going to be predictive of future results. And that seems like a very obvious statement, but it's one that I think really does break with the past, where I think historically, particularly on the agency side and the big brand side, we've had this fixation with these ideas of golden rules of what the key marketing principles ultimately are, and arguing over, is it reach, is it reach and frequency, or is it effectiveness, and these are really and were very useful constructs that we had in an era where we did not have the tools that were available to us, and also the speed and actionability. And I think that is one that has ultimately changed very quickly. And so I think if you're standing on ceremony, on these ideas that these things will necessarily be consistent, not only year to year, but at this point now, month to month, you'll be left behind quite quickly. And I think that becomes very frustrating on both sides of it, not only from a client perspective, but from a partner perspective as well.
Do you want to unpack a specific client example where that comes to life by chance?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think I know that we've got a lot of folks who are really hyper focused on lead generation, and I think probably embody some of this a little bit more. And I think to bring to life one useful example is we do a lot of work with the Coca-Cola Company, and for most people, the Coca-Cola Company, again, one of the biggest, most iconic brands, and in many ways could and should embody, I think some of this idea of really being monolithic and huge, And when you peel back the layers slightly, what you actually see is an incredible ecosystem of marketers, some of them who are scrappier than the smallest startup out there, who are really trying to eke out growth and identify new ways of working within both sometimes categories that are challenged, but even within sometimes a place where they could potentially be washed away by the size of the brand. And I think that as a whole and individually, as you look at them as a brand, their willingness to lean into new technology, into new ways of working, and to take risks sometimes, to a newsworthy detriment, is really fantastic. And that comes true both, I think, on the content and the creative and the AI side, where you're seeing them experiment very much with generative content, but then also on the targeting activation side as well, in which that focus really is on where's growth coming from, wherever it is, how do I eke that out? And it doesn't matter if it's big or small, we need to drive at that part consistently, but we need to be able to move very, very quickly as a much smaller sort of brand. So I think that it's a counterintuitive one, I think, particularly for brands who are doing a lot with a little, but it actually is, where you see large brands even breaking down into those constituent pieces, I think is a major transformation and where we're seeing some of the most interesting work emerge from.
I love it. I mean, just to reiterate, major big brands that are brand focused like Coke are thinking leads. Kelsey, what about you? You're the perfect client.
Perfect client. That's a big question in my line of work. But I think specific to the moment, I agree on experimentation, right, and that openness. I think also just really aspirational. I think right now you want a client that wants to actually be part of the next version of marketing and they want to lead the way versus follow. I also think importantly, they have clarity on what they're trying to achieve now and in the next 3 years from all of this change. And so is it, the efficiency of time? Is it giving time back to their employees? Is it improvement on ROAS? Is it incremental revenue? Is it, being just a pilot and a leader and being the leader in terms of a certain use case and adoption? But I think the ideal client has an aspiration, but then they're super clear on the outcomes and the metrics they want from it. And then lastly, I think they bring the rest of the organization with them, right? I think it's easy for us to talk as marketers about marketing. I do a lot of research on marketing and the rest of the org. Like 9 out of 10 CEOs don't have a marketing background. And so when you think about, we're trying to experiment and prove value, okay, well, have you aligned with the rest of the org? Have you brought everyone else with you on the metrics, the outcomes? Okay, great, now you're off and running.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's the second time you brought up metrics, so I feel like we got to get deeper on that. We heard earlier how the funnel is collapsing. You're all living and working through that. I would love to understand from this group, what does this new reality mean when you're talking about the people you work with on a daily basis around the collapsing funnel and how you're leading through it? We'll start with you again, Evan, and then we'll go to Brian.
Yeah, sure. I think that, look, at the end of the day, the funnel, is it collapsing? Is it still around? I don't know. I think it's been a useful construct for us and for marketers for quite some time, based on the maturity of our thinking, of our tools and technology. It's never been fully reflective or accurate in terms of how you as marketers operate or how people experience brands out in the real world. And so, I think where we are today is that we're moving beyond that as a construct to a large degree, because I think also we're moving from a world of, again, theory-based planning to one that is much more, I think, data-driven, facts-based, and activation-based planning. And what I mean by that, again, is that, before you had a lot of fewer opportunities to optimize, to experiment, to interject, right? Sometimes you had one opportunity to plan for the year, and then we'd see you 365 days later, right, to figure out like what worked, what didn't, and what you do from there. Now, it's not only, sort of in-second or split-second optimization opportunity, but even some of that ability to understand how businesses are shifting, right? You don't need to think about the long-term econometrics solely, right? And I think that context and time collapse between these different ways of thinking about performance, of measurement, et cetera, again, really privileges those who are in market, who are generating data, who are using that to iterate and get something new, within there. Now, again, there's consistency and structure that's important to make sure that adds up to something bigger, right? Something that Brian looks at a lot, right? Of, the most important thing is number go up, right? And so these things, you have to have some understanding about how to do that. I just think the way that you get there is really starting to change. And as a result, that's a lot of what we mean when we say we're moving beyond the funnel.
Yeah, the speed to action is critical. Brian, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I was going to say, this reminds me of there's a paper published in partnership with Google on the future of planning. And the answer to how marketers are thinking about the future of planning is it's the platform more than anything else, whether it's Google or any other platform. But because we're now in a world where there are infinite possible customer journeys that can, what is the funnel but a proxy for a customer journey, right? And it's only one of infinite possible customer journees. We're now in a world where there are so many different possible ways to get to the desired outcome, between consumer becoming aware of a product to buying one. And frankly, we're at a place where it's not hard to imagine consumers not even being aware, your bot's aware, such as it is, and you end up buying the product independent of being aware. Maybe it's just mirroring your preferences. So anyways, I just think in terms of I don't want to say the funnel's dead. The funnel's just one of many different possible ways to think about the ways that consumers will become customers.
Okay, so Kelsey, I see you nodding along. What do you think? Is it fair to say humans still play a critical role in an AI-powered world?
So I believe that, absolutely. I think, the question of AI and humans is a big one. I think like you all are talking about a couple things and between today and all the different talks. One, we've talked about multimodal content. We've talked about video being so important. But I think that this concept of human in the loop and what does that mean and how do you actually showcase how that works and how do you start to prove the AI as a kind of multiplicative factor is really important. And so if you take content as one example, a lot of our clients are asking us about risk and compliance, and I'm sure you all in the audience are managing that too. Like, how do we use all these fantastic tools in content generation, but then make sure that what ends up in front of a consumer or a customer and goes out the door is something we're super proud of, and also in certain sectors actually is okay from a regulatory perspective. So that's one example where human has to be in the loop still. Like it's not debatable. But then I think if you think about the whole end-to-end process, like I think there's a world in which AI should actually enable humans to be also delivering incredible breakthrough creative and doing what only they can do, right? Like breakthrough campaigns, building amazing brands. Like I think AI is a tool to innovate and give ideas to that process. But I ultimately think that humans have an amazing role there, and it'll give us more time for that.
I love it. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, just to build on, I think what Kelsey's getting at, which I think is spot on, of the importance of having a human in the loop. I think if you even connect it back to Brian, what you're talking about of centering a lot of this around the role of the platform today, which is, I think, really important because we're in a pretty big shift, although it doesn't feel that way from even the 2010s, where the promise of a programmatic era of efficient marketplaces, total openness, right, end-to-end connectivity, the idea that like marketing really was a math problem to some degree that could be proved out. I mean, in that kind of a construct, the human does kind of fade out. And I think the recentering of platforms, and as a result, the algorithms, the friction points, the inefficiencies that they introduce to them, right? All of the platform-mediated world that we operate in as people don't all fit together. And so as a result, the context that you then need to be able to connect these pieces together becomes really, really important. And that's something that a human is going to be needed to bring some of those pieces together. So it really is, truly the human in the loop to be able to do that, to connect not only some of the irrationalities of the media marketplace that we operate in today, but also the irrationalities of humans as well, right? Because if it was such a simple math problem, right, then we would have cracked it, in the 2010s. But right ad, right place, right time, right message, the amount of times we've all heard that, right, doesn't really pan out. And so you need to be able to adapt, and you need to have people who are understanding where these things aren't working, and start to interrogate some of the why, which computers will help, but they're not going to be able to do that, without sort of a guiding hand through that real world, as well as business world kind of scenarios that we're operating in.
So I'm hearing you say there's no such thing as an easy button.
I mean, it'd be nice for some people, maybe not for me. But yeah, I don't think there is. I think there are many buttons that make things easier, but there isn't going to be one that just gives you the direct ansur.
Brian, I know you're chomping.
Yeah, well, the human thing is important, not just because I think most of us here are humans. But I mean, a good, thoughtful, smart human looking at the right data in the right way, or it could be the wrong data in the right way, is more important than more data, more AI. And you'd rather have a person who's really good at what they're doing than someone who's not with a lot of AI. And it does speak to the role of the agencies and why I think that service providers in general, whether we call them agencies or not, but third parties who are just really good at focusing on this stuff and solving problems and looking at data in interesting and novel ways. And that could be inside of internal organizations too. But really thoughtful humans plus AI plus data will always crush AI by itself.
I love that. So we've covered a lot of ground today in this conversation, especially around the urgency of AI-powered transformation. When we close out this panel, I would like to just ask each of you to just give our audience one single word that is your advice to guide them through AI. And we'll start with you, Evan.
Just one word, like not expanding on it?
I'm going to do two.
I'm
gonna
okay
do
if you want to
two.
say the word and then expand why.
All right. My word is contextualize, and we talked about it a little bit before, but I think that's because AI is good at a lot of things, but it's not good at being human, to Brian's point, and it's going to be the value that we as people provide on top of it, and then ultimately I think we'll keep humans at the center of that loop moving forward.
I love that. Kelsey, it's your word.
I think I would say impact. I'd love to, be at an event like this in a year and be talking more about like the concrete benefits to the organization that then gives, a leadership team even more excitement to give them more funding, more spend, right? Like I feel like the cases of incredible impact at scale are still not where they need to be.
I love that. Brian.
Curiosity, meaning one of the big challenges and risks I think we all face is that the easier it gets to get the answers that you need by using tools that are maybe AI generated, and we think we get to the solutions really fast, but we're not questioning and challenging and still asking why and probing and pushing and probing and pushing and trying to understand firsthand, like, and where does this information come from? And exactly what were the rules that got us to this place? If you don't have that, I think you'll just die a painful commercial death.
I could relate deeply. I'll add my word just for sake. I do think focus drives results. So focus is the word. And just to build on things you said earlier, Kelsey, like you really focus on what matters most to the business, the metrics, the numbers, and then build off of that.
That was 3 words. You got 1 free.
It's my panel. I'll make the rules.
He makes the rules.
Fair enough.
All right, so thank you. Such amazing perspectives. I cannot thank you all enough to sharing that time with us and those thoughts. Hopefully everyone here is ready to be better at taking on the world, be better leaders and change agents on the other side of this. And just want to thank everyone and thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.
What an incredible morning here at Think Leads. I hope you're as excited as I am about what we've seen and learned from our amazing speakers. And what we're building, by the way, is a direct result of what we hear and see from you as industry leaders, marketers, and consumers. We're listening, learning, and together we're shaping the future of marketing. So before we move to the rest of the day, I'd love to share a few takeaways that I hope you'll carry with you. First, we talked about the increasingly unpredictable consumer and how they're searching, streaming, and scrolling in totally new ways. The key learning is this: you have to be where your customers are. Only Google and YouTube, with their unrivaled reach, trust, and influence, can help you get customers from discovery to decision faster. Second, we talked about what happens when you fuel our AI with your data. The most important takeaway here: your data is your competitive advantage. Combining it with our AI is how you get not just more leads, but the most valuable leads that drive real business growth. And finally, we saw how to harness AI-powered ad solutions to drive profitable growth. So if you haven't done so already, start exploring the Power Pack, our suite of next-gen campaigns. AI Max to win in the new era of search, Demand Gen to create and convert demand on YouTube, and Performance Max to unleash the full might of Google's AI across every channel. You can mix and match these solutions based on your goals, whether it's for more control or for maximum scale. We're here to help all businesses, big and small, simple and complex. We're here to help shape better outcomes right alongside you. We know the pace of change may feel disruptive, but it's unlocking new opportunities, and we're here to help you embrace this transformation. We care deeply because we're in this together. You succeed when we succeed, and vice versa. With that, a huge thank you to the thousands of marketers joining us via live stream. We appreciate your partnership and feedback, and we hope to see you again soon. Let's give all of our speakers another huge round of applause.